you're gonna meet many people, many fantastic people in your classes. But also push yourself harder and push yourself further and test your limits.
Hi, it's Teru from Our Kids. I recently spoke with Fernando, who is 2 weeks shy of graduating from Ontario Academy of Technology, a STEM-focused school. He came all the way from Brazil and spoke about the welcoming environment and the distinctively hands-on learning experience provided by his school. Could you start off by giving us a summary of what your experience and accomplishments have been like at OAT?
I'd say that my experience over OET has really changed over time because as an international student from Brazil, uh, there was always some stress of like coming to a new country and alone. So I think took great effect into my opinion over how OET like made me into who I am, like in terms of education. Um, but as I came here, I heard from your magazine, and I thought that the school was pretty good. Um, but the differences in the educational systems were also really different because in Brazil, to get into universities, you need to take a test, while here the grade 12 marks that matter for you to get into university. And I think changing that mindset was already really different. And also getting inside universities here is not as hard as staying in university, especially for the computer science program that I'm choosing right now. And I still didn't adapt to that idea until recently. And knowing that also changed my perspective over the school itself, because at first I thought that I just needed to absorb all the content that they were giving us.
Mhm.
But recently my mindset changed over that, and I knew that for me to reach the level that universities ask, I needed to study ahead and study more.
Okay.
So yeah.
And you spoke about computer science. Could you give us a sense of what your resume looked like in the past 4 years?
Yeah, sure. If we're gonna count the last 4 years, it will be 2 years in OET and 2 years from my Brazilian school. So if we're talking about also CS, um, I was probably put that in around ninth grade. I started learning my first programming language, which by myself, and that was really good. I learned Python, and that was a really good start and a really good intro into computer science and programming. But I just did that for a school project. But then I went after the school project ended. I decided to go a little bit ahead and um, tried using the EDX at platform, and I ended up getting a certificate from a university during their program. And I was never actually a big athlete. I always like to like participate in exercises and playing soccer and stuff like that. But I was never a competitive type in the um, as an athlete, let's say. Uh, but I came to OET. I got loan for in grade 11. I wasn't very well prepared, so I came in getting mid 90s and mid 80s, and whenever I came to grade 12, I uh, ended up taking it more seriously, and I'm now with low to mid 90s, and depending on the subjects.
And what will you be doing after you graduate this year?
I am going to take U of T's CS program
Okay.
in Mississauga, and I am actually really looking forward to that.
Oh, okay, awesome. And how do you think OAT, I know it's a very STEM focused school, how do you think that has influenced your decision to go to UTM?
I'd say that I never always had CS in mind, but whenever I came to Canada and I realized that CS could be the future, and I already had some background in programming and the logical thinking, I thought that I could give it a shot, and I thought that that would be the way because I always enjoyed programming, the problem solving part of it. And I guess I well, whenever I search for like best universities, first yes, U of T was always top ranked along with Waterloo. So I always had those two universities in mind. But recently, whenever I made my choice that I wanted to make the U of T's, make the choice that I wanted to go to U of T, um, I decided to check. I needed to look into which campus I wanted to go. So the decision that I wanted to go to Mississauga's campus was merely just like enjoying my surroundings because the education provided from my research is exactly the same from
Hmm.
all other campuses.
And you spoke earlier about having been from Brazil. If you could sort of take a step back, how did you and your family decide for you to go to OAT?
Actually, my mom was looking into the possibility of me coming to Canada, and she saw OET in actually your magazine in oh, the Our Kids magazine, and she read about it and she thought it was like a really nice university. I looked into it. I thought that it was fine too. I looked into their Instagram and I thought that they took a different approach into education, and they were taking kids to, for example, Canada Wonderland. And I thought that taking that different approach from the regular and the average school was really nice, and it caught my attention and definitely caught my parents' attention. So those were probably the ways that I got into knowing what like OAT.
Mhm. And if there's one thing that you appreciate most about going to OAT, what would you say that is?
Definitely, what I would say is that they eased my way into the Canada's um like educational system, since they are very different. They definitely eased my way into it, and they were much more forgiving than the like regular, for example, public school, which they, from like my knowledge, are like way less forgiving and they're harsher and harder. So yes.
Mhm. And as you just said, I'm sure you have a lot of peers that have gone to other private schools or you've heard about other private schools. What do you think differentiates OAT from other private schools?
Probably the thing that differentiates OET the most is the smaller classroom sizes. Definitely much smaller. Um, Other private schools, because of being private, they are already much smaller in terms of being in terms of the classroom sizes. They are in comparison to, the for example, the public schools, saying and that's obvious and you would expect that. But other private schools, you wouldn't expect them to be the classroom sizes to be as small as OATs.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Hmm. And if the school were to become personified, if it was a single person that we could get to know, describe for me what it would be in 3 words.
I'd say that um, OAT is a very comforting school. So I would say that. comforting person. So I would say that the if a difficult situation comes, the she would ease you and tell you that, oh, it's all fine and that kind of stuff. Second, I'd really say that the school is very like open-hearted, so they are open to like bring in new students, and independent of their background or anything like that, they're ready to bring in the new students, and they provide that like friendly environment that you want in a friend, for example. So yeah, that's something. And finally, I'd also say that OET gives a is always open also to giving us like a reality check, and not give like making it sometimes is hard, so they are open so they are ready to like bring you back like down to earth, and from like a so making you realize that you need to put in the hard work and that type of stuff.
Okay. And then what would you say is the school's highest values that you see in actual practice?
The schools, so we went to many fairs. We go they take us to, for example, to the to the sports center in the other school in Northern. So all of these um, and also the quality of the education, for due to being small classroom sizes. I think all these aspects they that they promise to get to like giving to their students are definitely like present.
What would you say families and students would find most surprising about OAT?
They would have the same reactions as me, because they would find really surprising about how small the classroom sizes really are. Because I've always been used to like large classroom sizes from 25 to 30 people, or 20 to 20 people to 30 people at least. So whenever I came to classroom sizes with less than 10 students per class, or 13, it was very shocking and very surprising actually seeing that, because reading that on paper is very different from actually being present there and actually studying with classroom sizes that are so small. And I guess that after some time you get used to it, but it definitely takes some time.
And how small were those classes?
From the largest classroom sizes would be of 15 people, I'd say, around. And but the average classroom size would be of 10 students, I'd say.
And could you describe for me what the typical student at OAT would look like?
I'd say that the typical physically, you mean?
Um, it could be physically, personality, all of that.
Honestly, all if the average we're talking about the average student, they're always very open-hearted,
Mhm.
and they're very friendly. They were open to making friends with anybody and anyone. All of my friends. And also, that if we're talking physically too, I would say that the average student will probably be Iranian, because the most of the students in the school are Iranian, and I understand that because the principal is Iranian too. So I'd say that, but the Iranian community, they like culture wise, they are always very open hearted and very friendly. So, and they definitely bring that to the school. The friends that I have there, even though they are from different nationalities as I am, they were always open to making friends with me and being my friends. So definitely, I always forget about our differences in nationalities and backgrounds whenever I'm with them.
And you said you're 2 weeks shy of graduation. How would you say OAT shaped you as a person?
I'm 2 weeks shy of graduating, yes, but and I'd say that they prepared me enough for me to for for me to get into university, and so they provided what we needed in the curriculum. But I'd say that from a lot of self studying and from meeting other people from other schools and, for example, from public schools, I saw that OAT was definitely not as harsh, or not as hard as other as other schools, and that is fine for some students. But for others who actually need to want to take on a challenge whenever they want to get into university, such as going to big name universities and in hard programs such as U of T CS program or Waterloo CS program, or for example McMaster's life science program. I'd say that OET is a little bit too forgiving, and in these situations, I'd say that is a bit of a negative aspect. So OET prepared me enough, and they kept me well grounded and knowing that um, I would be prepared, but just enough. But they definitely give you a bit of a challenge. But in these situations, it's I'd say that a little bit of challenge is not quite enough.
Okay, and that's actually a perfect segue into the next question. So, if there is one thing that you could change about the school, what would it be?
I definitely make it harder,
Hmm.
because for STEM students that's not very appealing. So I would say that like not anybody wants to be, not everybody wants to be challenged, and also always being like needing to study. And I understand that because the academic path is not always is not for everybody. Some people want to be freelancers or anything like that.
Hmm.
So it's definitely not for everybody. But if I personally had to change something, I definitely make it harder,
Hmm.
because um and out there, if you're gonna take the academic path, the it's going to be very challenging and it's going to be very competitive. So the harder you're pushed, I'd say that the tougher you are and the tougher you get, and the tougher you get, the further you go.
Hmm.
So, and I definitely did not think that OET provided that. And I'm not saying that as a 100% average student, but and I blame it on me because I came into school not taking it in grade 11, not taking it very seriously. But then I met friends from private public schools that are much harder than OET, and I saw that if I needed to be like one of these students, I needed to study more. And even though right now I'm still not 100% average, then I would blame it partly on them because they did not push me enough for me to realize that I need to go push myself even harder and even further. So if I were to change, I would make it definitely a good, like a tad harder. Yes.
Okay, and would you recommend that other students enroll in OAT?
Yes, definitely. If for international students is a great opportunity because it won't um, the like I said, it will be much more forgiving than a public school, because it's hard to be bashed down from from other educational systems, and like it's hard to recover from like already a rough start.
Mhm.
So I definitely would recommend for international students, but I as an as I got used to meeting more national from students from that are from Canada and studying, for example, public schools, I would not recommend as much, but it's still a very good choice.
So you spoke about one major reason why you would recommend it, that OAT is very forgiving or welcoming. But do you have two other reasons why you would recommend the school?
Um, yes, the it's much more hand-on
Hmm.
than other schools. We do more projects. We do more. We also do many more excursions, and we go out, go to the places that many other public schools and private schools do not even have the chance to go to, which is actually very nice. We get to talk to many universities that our principal got for us, and they give us many possibilities. Or, for example, I went to a conference down in Brazil, actually, with agents and to talk to agents, and I bet that many other schools would not have the chance to do so and to bring a student with them.
Absolutely. And is there anything you would say to a family that's considering sending their child to OAT?
I'd say that they are they will be happy with the results. Your child will that their child will be very happy with the environment, because then, like I said, the environment is very open, and the friends that they're gonna meet there, I'm sure that they are gonna be very, very good. But I'd say that push themselves even further than their average classmates and their averages in school. I'd say push themselves further than their own limits and study ahead, study more, practice extra.
hmm And lastly, what would be your one piece of advice to a student that is just entering OAT?
I'd say I'd give the same advice. So don't be um, don't feel satisfied with your current results, because out there it's going to be harder than the school itself. But I'd say that make many friends. Besides that, make many friends, because I definitely say that you're going to meet many people, many fantastic people in your classes. But also push yourself harder and push yourself further, and test your limits, because that's the academic path that you need to take if you're going to go out there in the world.